Hello and welcome to the new video. Today we're gonna take a look at the Shadow Toxicroak in the Open Great League. This Pokemon was already attack rated prior and now it does even more damage. And I have to say already, spoiler alert, this Pokemon is really good as a Shadow variant. I don't know if this team is really good in general, but I feel like that this Pokemon itself is a very good Pokemon right now. And I would recommend you to try to get a Shadow Toxicroak. Why is that? We're gonna talk a little bit about it here today. But first off, of course, if you enjoy this type of videos for the new Shadow variants, if you enjoy me wasting styles on Pokemon with really bad IVs so I can showcase them early, then feel free to leave a like, would really appreciate it. And if you're at this already, feel free to subscribe as well. But otherwise, we're going to take a look here at the team. We're going to have a Jellicent in the lead, we're going to have the Charjabug as a save swap, and we're going to have in the back our Toxicroak. Why this kind of team? I did not really want to go for the standard classic one of Toxicroak plus Lickitung. I know it's most likely going to be better. I know that Lickitung is basically the best Pokemon that you can currently run in the Open Great League, but I'm also just sick of it. Like, I have to say, like, I'm trying to at least build some teams that are just, of course, still playable, but not that completely crazy meta stuff that you see the entire time. So that's why I kind of want to try out Jellicent, which definitely has a little bit of play here. As you're going to see in the first battle already, you're going to see a very spicy pick in the back, which honestly, it's a very spicy pick, but we're going to definitely go for the full farm down here, as we're gonna be able to just go for some Mud Bombs now. I could have also went for the Shadow Ball, which you're going to see land later on as well, I think, against a very cool Pokemon. So here the opponent already knows that this game is over, so we're just going to counter them down. Let's move on to the second game. Amazing lead for us, let's see what is going to happen next. You're going to even get a ton of energy, which is nice. And they swap out into the Vigoroth, which is okay for us. We can swap out into our Toxicroak. I should have went for a Surf first. Like, I have to say, Surf would have been definitely a little bit better for me. And now we're gonna go ahead and just try to go for the full farm down. The opponent's still gonna get another move. I can use a shield here, but I still have Shadow Ball, which should be definitely kind of decent for me later on. In comes now, most likely again, the Deoxys. I can go for the Shadow Ball. Is this going to get the knockout against the opponent? It does, a boom. And we also gonna see the Poliwrath coming in, which is going to forfeit now immediately. Next opponent coming through, this is something that completely beats the entire team, and there's not a lot that I can do about it. Wigglytuff is just going to be a little bit tricky. But why is Toxicroak so good as a Shadow variant? Basically, beforehand, you still were already kind of attack rated, and your defensive typing was still kind of there. Like, you still kind of enjoyed the poison typing to basically resist counter from other fighting type Pokemon, but still you were already squishy, and you can get pretty fast to your Mud Bomb, which is kind of cool. You have counter, which definitely gets a little bit of a damage boost as well, thanks to the Shadow bonus there. And it is just way easier to farm down opponents with this Pokemon now. Basically, the extra damage that you're gonna get now through the counter is going to allow you to put a lot of Pokemon just into Mud Bomb range, which is really cool and gives you a little bit more pressure. Allows you basically to sometimes just two-shield farm down the opponent, which is just wild. So I have to say, I definitely think that the Shadow variant is better than the normal variant. Have to clearly say this after playing this Pokemon. While here we're going to have a double electric against us in the back, which is of course going to be a loss for us. Here's the issue with a Jellicent, by the way, in the lead. Skarmory lead is basically everywhere. Like, if I would want to play something right now, and most likely, I actually kind of want to make a video right now about the Hisuian Electrode in the lead, because it feels like 90% of the leads currently are either like Whiscash or the Skarmory, and both of them you're going to be able to beat with the Hisuian Electrode. Same goes for the Lantern, so maybe I'm going to do this eventually as well. But I have to say that currently the issue for the Jellicent in the lead is, yeah, you're going to be able to still resist the fast move of the Skarmory, but still a Brave Bird is going to nearly one-shot you, because Skarmory is just doing a ton of damage with this. So like, you're always kind of forced to use a shielding in Skarmory, which is really awkward. Here we're going to be able to at least get the switch alignment, which is kind of nice. We're going to see the Swampert coming in here as well, and we can go ahead and go for the Exeter, which is going to get the shield first, but the second one should hopefully connect, and with this we're going to have a Shadow Swampert. And that is going to be fairly low, and we're going to have Shadow counter damage, which is coming through soon as well, which should definitely knock them out from this range. And we're going to see something very cool now as well. I can swap out into my Jellicent, can go for the Surf, and I'm just going to let the move go through. No matter what the opponent is going to try here, they're going to use a shield, which is totally fine for me. I'm just going to let this move go through. If it's an Earthquake, good for you, but like, if it's not, it's still going to be fine for us. It's going to be the Earthquake. They can knock me out, but Toxicroak, Shadow Toxicroak just showcases here the amount of damage it can do, especially the 1-0 shield scenario. This Pokemon is just insane. Knocking out here the opponent's Skarmory, and the Swampert has no chance as well. Next opponent coming through, we're going to have here a Mantine in the lead, which is going to be a very neutral matchup. I think it's usually, like, especially in the 2-shield scenario, more in Mantine's favor, because their fast move does more damage, they are out spamming me, and if they shield something like a Shadow Ball, it's going to be a little bit tricky. Issue is for me here, my Say-Stop is insanely good against Mantine, my Pokemon in the back is insanely bad against Mantine. So what am I gonna do here? I'm most likely just go ahead and play out this lead matchup where I can just go for some Shadow Balls, get the shield advantage, and just see what the opponent tries to do here, because you can go for one Shadow Ball, you can go ahead and get a ton of damage onto them, and they're still forced to go for a charge move. But now we can swap into our Charger Bug. The issue is now that they can of course swap out, and they're going to have the Diggersby in the back, which is a positive matchup for us, but we're still going to have to use shields because the opponent is so insanely bulky. But yeah, as you're gonna see here, we're gonna be able to just go ahead and use a shield against the potential Scorching Sands. Turns out it's not going to be Scorching Sands, it's just going to be the Fire Punch, and they're most likely going to be able to reach another one here, which I'm not going to shield because I kind of want to keep the shield around. And in comes now the opponent's Mantine again, and at this point I was like, maybe they have something weak against me in the back. So I decided to use a shield here. I was not actually thinking that the opponent still had a shield left here, so it was definitely a huge mistake by me. But doesn't really matter. I doubted it. I don't think we would have been able to win this game if we had one shield here on the Charger Bug. Like, it's still going to be up against the ground type now. We have to hit 2 extras plus a little bit of Volt Switch damage, so honestly, maybe I would have been able to win this. Maybe. I don't know. I actually don't know. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Could I actually won this game if I just did not use a shield there onto the Mantine? I'm not too sure about it. Maybe would have been able to, because I would have been able to shield this one now. And I would have definitely knocked them out with another extra. Would have been definitely close, but I don't know. I honestly don't know. Could have been both ways, kinda. Let's take a look at the next opponent. We're going to have the LilyNiRiain in the lead. Amazing lead for us. It's exactly what you want as a ghost type that's also weak to the secondary move there of Power Whip. So we're going to swap out immediately and go for the extra. This is a thing that I always kind of want to tell you as well. If you're going to be in a matchup like this, and you have your move stored, unless the opponent of course tries to catch, you should always try to go for it kind of first. Because what this kind of allows you to do is, you can basically underline your switch clock, which is really important, because if the opponent decides midway through, okay, I want to swap out now and I kind of want to go into different Pokemon, you might be able to hard lock them in later on because you went for a charge move first. And this is exactly going to happen here, which I actually didn't know. But now I can go ahead and go into my Jellicent afterwards, because the opponent is now locked into this matchup, and it's still not the greatest matchup for Jellicent, I have to say. But I'm going to be forced to use a shield here, as the opponent can go for a Shadow Ball against us. We're going to be able to reach another Surf here against the opponent as well, which they're going to most likely let go. At least that's what I expect here, because I still have 2 shields left. But now they're actually going to use a shield, and they can even go for another charge move here. They should be now at a Shadow Ball for sure, and so they decide to use another shield. And Jellicent gonna go down from this big Shadow Ball from the Annihilate. But we can now go into our Toxicroak, and hopefully this is still going to be something that's winnable. 1 KO so far for the Toxicroak. Let's see what it can do next. Can we catch a move here? We can catch the move onto our Charger Bug. And this is amazing, because this is going to allow us now to have so much energy on our Toxicroak. We can just go for a Mud Bomb. They're definitely in range for this. This is going to get the knockout against the opponent's Poliwrath as well. We should be able to reach even another charge move here against the opponent's LilyNiRiain. And yes, Shadow Poliwrath gets the triple kill here at the end. Good game there. Next opponent, we're going to have the Jellicent in the lead. This is going to be kind of neutral. Usually I go for the bait here, but I thought, oh, this time around I go for the Shadow Ball, and of course I catch it immediately on the LilyNiRiain. I was like, wow. Great. Like, the one time I'm not going for the bait, and yeah, it's just, it is what it is. Like, you know me, I usually go for the bait way too often. Like, it's definitely not what you're supposed to do. But here we're at least going to be able to go for the full farmland after 1 shield was used, and now we have a ton of energy. And maybe I should actually go for the bait here and then just go for a Shadow Ball after a shield or something. But I decided to go straight for the Shadow Ball, going to be able to get the shield from the opponent, and so we can realign our own Pokemon. They go for their Surf, which is a smart move because it's easily enough. And we can swap into our own Charger Bug, which can go for a Discharge, and they catch it again on the Bastion. It's not too bad though that they caught this move. I don't think it really matters too much either. But we're gonna swap out now into the Jellicent, and here's the thing that I just really hate about, I don't know, Go Battle League or whatever. We have a Water type, the opponent has a Rock type. Like, guess who wins this matchup? Of course, the Rock type wins this matchup. Like, if you think like Water is super effective against Rock, then don't talk to Bastion, because Bastion is not really caring about any kind of type advantage here. Unless it's a ground type move or a fighting type move, Bastion basically just gets neutral damage from anything. So yeah, like this is kind of wild. Okay, they're still going to be able to, we can still knock them out basically, but we're so low that the opponent has now a ton of energy, and basically we can hope that we can shield up a Shadow Ball here. It's just a Surf, so yeah, at least I had to shield up something anyway. The opponent goes for a Shadow Ball now, and they're going to outspeed me to a Surf. Like, there's no way for me winning this game unless my fast moves are going to be enough to knock them out, which is not the case. This is sadly going to be a loss, but again, like, honestly, Bastion is like so mad. Next opponent, we're going to have here the Mantine in the lead. Again, a lead that I don't really enjoy to see with this Jellicent in the lead here as well. Like, can you not just, like, use your Mantine as a Haze Swap or something for my team? That would be really, really nice. Charjabug will enjoy this quite a bit. But now we're going to have to play out this kind of neutral matchup. I can go for the Shadow Ball. Maybe they're going to swap out eventually, who knows. But we will see here Shadow Ball going to connect, going to do a ton of damage against the opponent, as they can swap out now into our Charjabug, try to snipe them there. But there's the thing as well with this team. Charjabug is supposed to get out the ground type Pokemon, because it's still going to have at least some neutral damage with the Exeter, which is kind of decent. But here we're going to get out the Wishcast, which is kind of nice. Scald is coming through, does not get the debuff, which is, I don't think it's really important. Like, it literally does not really matter. They're still going to be able to win this matchup. It's not a good matchup for us at all. But I would be able to maybe get another shield from the opponent if I use my own shield here, which I'm going to do. The opponent actually goes for the Mud Bomb. Not sure if I actually would have been able to survive it, because it's just a neutral move. But we can just go for the Exeter. Gonna get the knockout actually, and so we can realign, which might be kind of decent for us. Let's see what they're gonna go into. They're gonna go into a Venusaur. No, this is not really decent for us, because a Venusaur, while we have two Pokemon that resist grass, it's still going to be tricky, because those two Pokemon are not great at Venusaur counters. And we're gonna see the opponent is just gonna go for a charge move. I'm forced to just let this move go through, because they still have the Mantine in the back. They catch the move on the Mantine now, which is a little bit annoying, as they don't have to use a shield here. It's not going to get the knockout. And I'm forced to go into my Jellicent and go for one fast move. I'm forced to let this move go through, because the Venusaur has so much energy, and honestly, I could have won this game. What I should have done is not go straight into my Jellicent. Sometimes I'm just a little bit too hectic with my games. I should have just waited out a Switch Rock there for a little bit, because then I would have been able to swap out onto my Charjabug earlier, and the opponent wouldn't have got as much energy against my Jellicent. But because they were able to farm me down, they still can get to another Frenzy Plant here, and so we're going to be able to lose this game. This was winnable if I played it better. My own mistake, but let's move on to the next one. Final game for today, we're going to encounter the worst possible lead for us. That's great. Gustload in the lead. That's amazing. That's exactly what you want to face as a Jellicent. What a likely lead to face as well. But we're going to see here that the opponent can still go for a Crunch. They don't get the debuff, which is kind of cool. And we can go for an Exeter. But it's very likely that we're just going to go for another Exeter straight away, so it's kind of predictable. And the opponent is going to decide to predict this and go into their Jellicent. If I went for one more fast move and went for a Discharge, this game would have been completely different. But yeah, it is what it is. We're going to see here some Volt Switches coming through. We're still going to have a shield advantage, but of course it's not going to live for too long, as the opponent can go for their Surf. I'm going to go straight for the Shadow Ball. I like this thing as well, which I kind of want to start doing a little bit more, is not going for the bait all the time, just going to go for the straight play always kind of helps us. Never mind, the opponent actually going to use a shield here, and so we're forced to use our own shield as well. The opponent is going to decide to go for a Shadow Ball themselves, and so we can outspeed them at least and knock them out. But I just know that a lot of people will complain about me going for the baits too often, but here we're going to be able to get the knockout. We can swap out into our Toxicroak against the incoming Gustload, because Gustload definitely going to come back in here, and they're going to decide to go for a charge move. And now we're going to see how much damage it's going to do. It is going to do so much, even though it's just a Crunch, and we see the Skarmory coming back in. We can actually still reach the Shadow Ball, which is kind of cool, because we can see now the damage again. Going to do a ton of damage here. If we just had like one shield, we would have been kind of fine in this scenario as well, but it is what it is. This is going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I would still definitely recommend you to try to get a good Toxicroak. Really strong Pokemon, and hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you did, feel free to leave a like, and I'll see you then. Bye bye.